Society, celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears. Emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Well, good evening, Zach. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Why I'd love to say I am, but we're getting our first snow.
Oh, no.
Nothing's
Man.
sticking yet, but it's coming down, so it's colder and blah blah blah. You know how it is. So
It's heavy rain over here. Yeah, it's precipitation, right?
Well, you're to the east, so it's going to change for you, buddy. I'm telling you what's coming.
Uh-oh.
Right. No accumulation yet. So, new received license there. You ready?
Yes.
A little snow.
A bit. Yes. That'd be nice practice, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Everything changes. That's the beautiful thing about the change of seasons. So
That's right.
let's see. What do we got going on today, Zach? We're going to read some poetry, aren't we?
Yes.
Just like every day.
Yeah. I just wanted to direct Parchy's
special or anything
not direct. I'm sorry.
I'm thinking of.
No,
I don't think so either. What we talked about in the pre-production meeting, though, let's talk about that. Yumpy put a Poe contest up on the member-sponsored contest board, and it's gotten a pretty good response from us Parchies. So Zach and I just discussed in front of this show, maybe definitely doing a segment next week with our normal reading list, but also with the entries from the Parchies that did enter that contest. And I think right now there's maybe 6 or 8 of us that entered it. It's a great contest, guys.
right.
And that brings me to the point. Keep an eye on that topic board. And if you guys don't know how to navigate around and stuff like that, ask one of the coordinators, and we'll try and get you there to where you can understand and you can utilize everything that the group is doing and the coordinators are doing, because they put a lot of effort into those things. Yumpy, Merv, Deb runs some contests, and other members run contests too. And it's a great thing to reach out there and support each other in those things outside of our group and inside our group as well. Community, guys, that's what we want. That's what we are. And you just got to know where to find things. And there is a lot of inspiration out there. They're doing a great job, aren't they, Zach?
Absolutely. All the time.
Yeah. Just constant and continuous. I'm in awe. Whenever I seen the Poe contest, I called Zach. I was like, dude, you got to check this one out. So yeah, it's a great thing. And we got some exciting stuff coming up. Remember, again, guys, Poet of the Month is an every month thing. So we haven't had that many contributions so far this month. Get some writes in there so we can read and figure out a new Poet of the Month, because Horsefall was our first one. Mm-hmm. And after that, we'll put another name up on the marquee there. All right, Zach, are we ready to begin?
Just about. Before we do that, I wanted to direct Parchy's attentions and otherwise those who are listening to where we're going to be drawing the poems from tonight, and that's going to be located at the topic board at the very top, where it's entitled "The Reading List Podcast Episodes 5 and 6."
Fantastic. Love those topic boards too, Zach. Once we get used to everybody reading them, it's going to be like clockwork. We won't even have to direct them to it, will we?
No. Yeah. All right. So the first one up is "Do You Lock Your Doors at Night?" By Don Gonzetta. And I'll get this one to read. Imagination increases volume, turning tiptoes to timpanis beyond blackened corner creaks. Become violent cacophonies, blustering bravery behind blissful viewed blindness, soundly unfounded and kind, not assuming such kindness. Some suspicious activity arousing anxiety sufficiently, nightmarish creatures nesting unrested, nestling convincingly. Permanent peripheral paranoia, silence sings so suspiciously. Leery lookout, fear fiends fight lightless. 911. What's the address of the emergency? Screams, recorded, rendered symphonic. What's going on? Are you there by yourself? A bad man is in my home somewhere. I need you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Just wait until we get there. Killing willingly with karmatic kindness. Empong.
That was interesting. The alliteration was fun there, Zach. I loved hearing you challenged with that, because she had a rhythm there, didn't she?
Certainly.
She had a rhythm. It did seem like almost like a 911 call. It really did. Like, I'm going to fess up, guys. I watch a lot of stuff on ID channel and stuff like that. So I've heard this stuff. Actual live calls, and that's the tone of this, which I really appreciated. But that last line, killing willingly with karmatic kindness, that's interesting, isn't it? A lot of fun there. The alliteration stood out. It stood out. Permanent peripheral paranoia. Someone's constantly looking around. I mean, it almost seemed comedic, but it has a little bit of a seriousness to it because of violence and stuff like that. But I actually got caught up in the alliteration and how much joy it brought me. I don't know if that was the intent that Don had, but it's the way it struck me. So I really enjoyed it for that reason. Now, what are your thoughts, Zach?
I felt dread and anxious reading this, and I mean that in a good way. Like, anxiety, especially just from the speaker's perspective. Imagination increases volume. That just that line, especially that opening line, kind of it almost like that, like, tends to blur reality almost, and from there it kind of unfolds. the scenario where it just there's a pulse to this, and it flutters, especially in certain places, whenever it becomes really like alliterative. And it was interesting to read that, and a little bit difficult, but I think it had a great flow that way. But yeah, I just like that look of art. That's it's like almost like a home invasion thriller to me a little bit. And I just didn't know where it was going when I was reading it. I was like, oh, and I suspected someone was near, given the speaker's frame of mind, and there was. It's just you're kind of left. It's kind of like a cliffhanger at the end, because you're not sure if she's okay or not. Clearly she's not, but I want to like be sure that she makes it out okay. The speaker, that is. Yeah, it just makes me a little concerned, frankly. But really well written that way.
I really love the word you used. It had a pulse, Zach. It did. It had a pulse, and it was frantic in places. The alliteration, she used some tools to really help, and it caused that chaotic kind of feeling. So it was well done. And actually, for the first read with that much alliteration and that kind of altering tempo and meter and all that, you did very well, Zach. Like as I was reading along, I was like, oh, we're starting with a bit of a tongue twister here. All right, what do we got next, man?
Next up is Mario's poem with 3 O's, and that's Rules and Consequences. And that's your read.
Outlaws took birth on fear, guns and powdered handed bare, pounded banks in rich men's lair, feed and packed money after the burglar's dare, crossed with a black suited mirage. Outlaws look confused yet sane. Rules and consequences. Shots rang on amidst bounty wars play. The one in suit took laurel and walked away. End poem. Zach, the reason I stopped there, and I'm going to apologize, is because I thought, well, we got 2 chaotic pieces right in the beginning. They're starting us out with a bang there. That was a little bit of a tongue twister for me, so it caused me pause. And then I thought about the poem before. So go ahead with Rules and Consequences, Zach, and give us your thoughts. And again, I apologize, Mario, for that little misstep in the middle there, but we read live, so you got to see my reaction to that.
So this one is reminiscent of a Western for sure, or the cops and robbers variety, pounding banks in rich men's lair, with outlaws, and I like there's characters to this, in this brevity, and not just characters, but these characters have a struggle. And within the struggle, there are rules and consequences. And those, it's like really just, they're doing all this despite the consequences that arise from their actions, really. And it's, I think it's recognized, that what they do, is well established. This kind of, this kind of interaction. Outlaws took birth on fear. That's an interesting opening line. There's something about that, it's almost like they're taking ownership of like what they want to instill in others. That's kind of unsettling, and it's kind of ominous. The black student mirage. I'm wondering who that could be, because that's like almost like an interloper amongst the outlaws to me. But I think I would like to dissect this further, but there's just a lot going on in this brevity. It's just like Bill was saying. I think the thing that sticks out is chaos.
Did you read the author's notes, as simple as they are, Zach?
Oh no,
it did me. I just read them, and it said inspired from the world of John Wick.
Makes total
that
sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes absolute sense. It just goes to prove the author's notes are important again. And there's a lot of times that I read and start analyzing, and then when you start talking, I'm looking at the author's notes and I'm like, oh, okay. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not, because this could be applied to several different genres. Right. I felt old Western too. I did. I felt old Western in this, but it was written in a chaotic way. And that's pretty impressive for this short of a piece. It really is that you instill that much chaos and, all that in two stanzas, just that quick, boom, boom, boom. But he did a great job there. And it was a very enjoyable read, even though I messed up there in the middle, but not the alliteration, but the rhythm and meter, I started thinking. And then, when I thought, it was just out, but I was in thought because the poem evoked that from me. So I appreciate that. It was a great write, and we enjoy reading it. And that's the first read from Mario. Oh, I don't know, 3 O's. Mario with 3 O's. That's the first read we've gotten from him. So welcome aboard, Parchy.
Absolutely.
What do we got? What do we got next, Zach?
Next up we have Aaron Farrow's piece, and that's called Search for More, and I'll give that one a read. You're something beautiful, vast, expansive, and whole. Though you've littered the pieces, you've known what peace is. Spread it like icing. It just takes some splicing. Round out the wires, so tuck and roll. It's a marathon. You belong. Join the choir before you expire. Get in the line. Don't dig like a mole. The knoll is the toll, and the toil is the right. And the toil the right. Take on your armor, change the sight. There's a world. Give it a whirl. Knock out the churl. Send it packaging because it's the feathered wings you're stacking. There's a light in the dark. Don't lose that spark. Nourish it with grace. Pick up your hat and take a bat. There's so much more to explore. Let's go search for more. End poem.
Interesting. I love the rhyme scheme. I did. The rhyme scheme was very solid, and the hard end rhymes. But there's one particular line that I picked out of this because it's nostalgic for me. Tuck and roll. Me and my buddies used to ride around out in the country when we were young and didn't have anything to do, and gas was cheap. We'd listen to our stereos and stuff like that. And if anybody said anything or did anything off-putting in the group, we'd tell them to tuck and roll. Open the door, tuck, roll out. So that made me laugh. It really made me laugh from my past. But I really loved where this poem went. It seemed very uplifting. It was uplifting. It starts from the beginning with "You're something beautiful, vast, expansive, and whole," talking about loving yourself, and maybe this is a pep talk for the writer, but maybe it's inspirational for the reader too, because it definitely felt that way. It was a beautiful piece. And I think I like the way it rhymed. It reminded me of, and I'm not a Billy Joel fan, okay, but that section of "We Didn't Start the Fire" where he's just, it had that kind of rhythm where it just hammered through, and I like that. It's very pleasing. It makes something so emotionally deep seem happy as well, from the light. So I like that. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I like especially this piece, the positivity of it, and the emphasis on the individual, I guess I felt like there was something about the individual or the soul of the speaker that's worth greater than the sum of its parts, and I think that the lines that stuck out to me the most were though you littered the pieces, you known what peace is. I think that's just a really cool rhyme. There's several of those scattered throughout, but that one especially, litter the pieces. Like that just means to me that the speaker is might be a little bit displaced somehow, but they know what peace is, and it's just everywhere. The peace. So that's that. I like that a lot. And that's an interesting word to use, littered the pieces, as opposed to, I mean, they're just like everywhere, you know? And I really like this piece. It's just, there's a lot of light in it, literal light, towards the end. And I like the rhyme scheme, as Bill was saying. It had a certain bounce to it. It really did. And especially with the end rhymes. And even there were some internal rhymes that I really liked too. That's hard to do, in kind of conjunction with the end rhymes too, and I really enjoyed that structure.
And that it did give it a bounce, and you're right to point out those middle rhymes. Those mid rhymes were important to this because it made it more snappy. It seems it was such fun to hear read. It was a delightful piece, Zach. I agree with you 100%. Let's see, what do we got now?
Next up, we have Hint's piece, and that's The Sea Told Me Nothing, and that's your read.
Why does the moon fall apart? Clouds run to hide the sky. The sky in its dark. Hopping the moon will guide ships once again. Hoping the moon will guide ships once again. Why does the sea rush to shore? My feet get wet as I sit here alone. Why don't the birds sing me a song? Why don't my tears twinkle like stars? Why do the ships hide beyond the sea? Why don't the wind hug me quiet? Nobody knows it's the end of the world. And indeed, in the end, don't we say goodbye? End poem. Well, that was heavy.
Wow.
Interesting. Are you ready to comment, Zach? If you're not, I'll comment first, actually. I think I'm ready.
Yeah, go for it, man, please.
Yeah. I can hear you processing it, so I understand. First of all, I want to say, I do enjoy a poem that asks questions because it invites you in as a reader. So a question mark in a poem is not a bad thing to me. Some people don't appreciate that as much, but I do, because I feel like it is an attempt by the writer, and I've used it myself, to bring the reader in and make it more personal to the reader, make it more not a lesson, not directing their lives, but really invite them in to see from the writer's perspective. And there's a lot of big questions in here. And the big questions don't really start. It starts with a pondering of outside things and stuff like that. And then turns more internal. So it probably started internal in the first place. Why don't the birds sing me a song? Not why don't the birds sing a song, but why aren't they singing for me? Why don't my tears twinkle like stars? That's a beautiful line too. And there's several of those in here in this short little piece. Once I caught the rhythm of it, it felt really good to read it because it's asking such deep questions. And then it ends kind of in a negative way. Why don't the wind hug me quiet? Nobody knows it's the end of the world. And indeed, in the end, don't we say goodbye? Like asking, for people to say goodbye being a thing, where you recognize things are bad, say goodbye, or, they're coming to an end or whatever. The metaphor obviously applies to a lot of things, but I feel like it adds to this piece a tone of loneliness. That's what it felt like to me, a little bit of loneliness in this. So that's kind of what I got from it. What do you think, Zach? You had time to process it.
Yeah. This piece, um, I honestly, I'm not like a big fan of the Carpenters a lot, but like this reminded me of "Close to You" by the Carpenters, and like the
Mm.
best like it's sort of a like a in an opposite way. Um, uh, that like why do birds gather in the sky? This one is like the converse of that. There are several lines of here. Just that one's more uplifting. This one's more sinking. I think more pessimistic. But it's beautiful. Frankly, in these questions, they tell a story. I think it's speakers on the beach or shoreline. I think at night and crying, lamenting loneliness in sort of like this really beautiful, introspective way. That's also quite sad. Because in the end, if someone's lonely, like that lonely, how is it possible to say goodbye to anyone except the world, really? If they don't have anyone, that's sad to me. It's heavy. I had to process that one a bit, but yeah. Uh, Writes like that often take time to, the emotion, especially if it gets you like that, you need to just take the time to kind of think it through a bit. And yeah, I had to do that.
Oh,
That's a
I
piece that
agree.
does that. Yeah, a piece that does that is very powerful.
Aren't we always amazed too when it's a short piece that does that to us? If it's like an epic, you expect to be drawn into a depth. But with a short piece, that's one of the amazing things about a short piece like that when it is so powerful and it brings you to thought. What we got next,
Absolutely.
Zach?
Next up, we have JEG 325's piece, and that one's Heartbreak Serenade. And I'll get that to read. Wisps of silver cross the moon as ghostly clouds float through. Dreams sail in a wooden shoe on seas painted midnight blue, while shadows recall scenes that live within old memories, opening doors long kept closed of voices lost of symphonies. I heard every single note. Each song was written for me, sung over and over again about a heart that can't break free. End poem.
Wow, somebody's stuck in a memory, it sounds like here,
Mm.
and it's singing over and over again. The way Jeg writes this stuff, I love the combination of words, the word choices and stuff. Dreams sail in a wooden shoe on seas painted midnight blue. That's a beautiful rhyme.
Mm.
But dreams in a wooden shoe sailing, they're not going anywhere. Takes a current. They're not going anywhere. While shadows recall scenes that live within old memories, haunted by the old memories. There's just a neat thing. And the title of it, Heartbreak Serenade, he goes over it again in that last stanza, sung over and over again about a heart that can't break free. So it's the end of a relationship and all these things are happening, but they just can't let go, or he just can't let go. The writer can't let go. It's neat that you're stuck in that because it speaks of the love, that is over. And as tragic as that is, the old cliche is it's better to have lost in love than to never have loved at all. Very little consolation when your heart's broke. So powerful piece, another powerful short piece. And Jeg really does so well putting so much emotion in those short pieces that I enjoy. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, this one, putting music, combining the language of music with words, in a way, with this memory, with the old memories and the like sort of melding with symphonies, like voices. There's a lot of really neat sort of juxtaposing of like voices, that are lost to time and symphony and symphonies like that, and sounds. There's a neat sort of emphasis on sounds, and if it's very detailed. It's very detailed memory. Um, I could like, not only is there detail, but there's meaning behind it. The memory, because of the things that are added to it, like symphonies, that kind of give it a sort of something else to it, like an other world, like not otherworldly, but just gives it more weight, makes it more heavy. Um, yeah, and it's dreamlike too, as if the speaker doesn't want to like let go of it. It's such a nice memory, but in a way, I think the speaker feels a little bit trapped by it by the end. Can't break free. It's sung over and over again. It's like almost a recurring dream that the speaker can't even break from. You know what I mean? Just trapped in that memory. It's a sad piece. And those reoccurring dreams could be really depressing sometimes, and to wake up from those is even worse sometimes. And yeah, no, that's a different story. It's really well written.
I think you touched on this, Zach, and I just want to reiterate this point about that piece. It is an odd combination, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean in a very surprising way, of happy and sad. You could almost see the writer is happy to have had the memories, but sad for the heartbreak that is recurring because the memories were so good. So for a piece to swing you like that is neat. It is, and it's the true arc of an ended relationship or something like that, heartbreak. So awesome stuff. Great write, Jag. What do we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Joe J's piece, and that's Vampire's Valentine. That's your read.
Here we go. I can detect the heat of your warm blood pulsating through your veins. It invites me to delight in its nectar, crying out to me, compelling me, come drink from my earthly vessel. My senses become heightened, my thirst above controllable. The hunger burns from within, galloping into a voracious frenzy. I can't hold back for much longer. I proceed with frantic anticipation. The I'm sorry, I butchered that one. Preternatural body quivers from this image of your human flesh. I'm nearing you now, almost within your reach. Here I am, at your darkened window. I see you lying in your slumbering haven, your breasts heaving from your breathing, hair sprawled over your pillow like golden threads, so silent and peaceful as thou, unbeknownst of the predator lurking. I tap against your window pane. You awaken with a lazy start. Again, I tap to assure your attention. Your mortal body becomes defensive, yet intrigued by the disturbance. Slowly, yet courageously, you near my yearning body. I tap once more to reassure my presence. I sense your fear, which fills me with excitement. I will you to open your window. You do so with inquisitive innocence. Surprisingly, I am startled by your beauty. Those eyes, oh, those eyes so divine. Greener than the most purest of emeralds. Your hair so magnificent and lucid, surely spun from the finest gold. You cannot see me yet, as I am above you, looking down on your wondrous treasures. I am confused by what I am feeling. Surely this cannot be. I am the undead. No mortal feelings have I. Yet I yearn for your touch. I itch to make myself visible to you. I still crave your lustrous blood. Nonetheless, this is no longer all that I desire. My unearthly body has awoken to lust. Past, forgotten memories are flooding back. Thoughts of entwined, heated bodies. The recognition of sensual, erotic experiences. I know that you have longed and dreamt of such an encounter. I understand that I can peer into your very soul. I have the ability to delve into your deepest desires. I lower myself so as I am in your sight. At first, you are afraid of my presence, stumbling back with fear, eyes fixed on me. Standing there, vulnerable and alluring, eyes locked on one another for what seems like an eternity. With a shaky, sensual, feminine voice, you ask, "Who and what are you?" To which I reply, "Your deepest desires." You're rubbing your eyes in disbelief, thinking this is a dream and cannot be. Aware that you are not in slumber, you are cautiously moving a little closer. Taking in my vision, you're smiling unwillingly. I recognize the admiration in your expression. So, you desire and long for me too? I can pleasure you beyond your wildest fantasies, for I am not a mortal man. I am far superior. I possess the strength and stamina that you crave, am able to tune into your needs and demands. You only have to invite me into your chamber. Info. I got the first epic today. That was a nice one though. It was a nice
Wow.
romantic read. What are your thoughts, Zach? That's right in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yes. This was an amazing epic. I like this kind of piece, this kind of darkness. This one started like I like the way the speaker is very deliberate with their words, speaking like with the kind of like this heavy intonation, very deliberate, and very like the speaker is very careful like of how he plans his advance. And it's kind of unsettling, but that's what they do as vampires. They're very. I could just it's a vicarious voyeuristic sort of experience almost, and you can see that like very like the senses are sharp, and I really like the narrative, the way it flows, and it's free verse, and it has still has that sort of that bounce to it, that I really enjoy, and it's a narrative, it's a really cool narrative, and I think my favorite part was when the moment their eyes meet, um, and there's obviously some confusion on both sides, but there's something that is awakened within the soul of the, or what remains of the soul of the vampire. That's more than just lust for blood, and then I think that I like that idea. I try to imbibe that idea within my own pieces sometimes, and to see that is just really something that I admire. And yeah, it's sensual. Um yeah, it's romantic a little bit too in its own way. Even though they haven't really met, it's still like that moment they first like connect. That to me, that really just sets the tone perfectly. It's really well written.
I well said, Zach. I always appreciate when somebody can make you through their writing root for the bad guy, the undead. I mean, for Pete's sake, there's a vampire hovering above this person, getting ready to take blood from him. That's we all know what vampires are there for. But then you're starting to, as this poem goes through into the softer, more sensual. It never got where you felt violent, like anything violent was going to happen. But I mean, for Pete's sake, the fangs,
Mm-hmm.
those aren't little things that's getting ready to happen. And obviously, it drops off and leaves you to determine whether it's actually happening or not. But there's an intrigue both directions. So this vampire is hovering over this woman, potential victim, and then he just notices how pretty she is. He's like, "Oh my God, how pretty is she?" And he hasn't felt that. since he was alive. It even says that. He hadn't felt that since he was alive. He was incapable of feeling it, he thought. And then he starts feeling that attraction and he starts thinking these things. So it softens up that vampire and almost makes him empathetic, where you look at him and say, oh, I want him to fall in love. Who cares if he has to bite her, once a week or whatever. But anyway, it's kind of neat in that respect because it puts a very soft hue and there's romantic and sensuality and it's just hints of those things. So there's so much going on and peppered into this that ends up being a very beautiful piece that reads, I don't think she could have done it so well had it been half the length. It needed to be a story being told that developed. And that's the thing. You can't hurry telling your story. And Joe did not hurry telling her story. She just added to it. And there's another thing too I wanted to say. You can use rhyme and you can use meter together and stuff like that. But in free verse, when you're doing free verse, to make it read well, in my opinion, to make it read well like this did, you have to really pay attention to meter and do some things that almost trick the reader into thinking it rhymes. And you get them into the tempo of the right. And this did that very well. That's why it read so smoothly and had this fluid flow all the way through it. It was well done. And I enjoyed reading it. Thanks, Joe. What do we got next, Zach? I'm
All right.
flipping back.
Yeah. Next up, we have Deborah Lee's piece, and that's Little Feet, Big Steps. And I'll give that a read. The world splits open for you, one careful step at a time. Tiny toes curled against wood, exploring gravity, testing its weight. Your laugh breaks like sunlight after a storm. You're a tiny hurricane spinning in wonder. I stand frozen, a statue of awe, watching you leave imprints of your presence. Each step opens a hidden door. Each stumble paints magic on the floor. How small you are, yet infinite. Breaking boundaries you didn't know existed. You reach for me, a question mark. Arms wide with both fear and joy. I caught you, but not just you. I caught the whole new beginning of your chapter. End poem.
Well. I'm a parent, so I understand where this is coming from. You're watching, and the picture, obviously, if you guys can see the picture prompt, if you're back to it, it's a child walking, not quite Frankensteining, got a little bit of balance and moving, but the funny thing is, right from the beginning of this title, it's obvious, and the picture prompt and the title, Little Feet, Big Steps. It's about a parent, mommy specifically this time, watching their child walk and thinking to themselves, oh, they're growing up. I mean, it's almost sad, right? It's almost sad and happy at the same time. It's got this weird thing because you want them to stay young forever, but they're not gonna. So you root for them and every little thing. Today, it's the first steps. Tomorrow it's college, driver's license, marriage, grandchildren, all those things. And you don't see the biggest picture when you're a parent. You don't see them getting there. You see them taking that first step. You see them going to kindergarten. You see all those things. And it's a wonderful, heartwarming ride. It really is from a mother's perspective, and it has that softness. And I really liked it. It was a joy to listen to. I thought it was a great piece. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, this was quite a tale, not a tale, like a character study. I thought of a bond between a mother and a child, small child, learning its first steps. I think, or some of its first steps. I don't know if it's their first steps specifically, but at any rate, it's I just like that idea of I think the running these as the baby or child takes the steps, the mother is also thinking ahead a little bit, into the future, and that is almost like paralleling with the baby. as when the baby moves and moves forward, the mother's thinking ahead, and I like that that sort of thought, that sort of deep thought, that can only, I mean, it's a total moment, and she's into it. And it kind of it does make her sad. I think it makes her a little bit wistful. And I like especially the juxtaposition between how small the baby is yet infinite, like completely taking up the entirety of the mother's attention, and a tiny hurricane, right? I like that especially too. A little, chaotic tiny hurricane, because that's what they are sometimes. Like, but in a beautiful way. Like sunlight after a storm. I like that the line too. The laugh is babies' laughs are especially gorgeous, and I like this piece a lot. Very beautiful.
It was beautiful. Very beautiful from a mother's perspective. What do we got now, Zach?
Next up, we have Wednesday in October's piece, and that's Bird Wishing, and that's your read.
Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there. 2 bird feeders hang on chains off low branches of the Bradford pear tree. A brown caged suet and a tree green mixed seed feeder. Squirrel proof, so they say. Little house finches feast just outside the picture window, sitting on the brown tufted chair, watching in silence. It's more entertaining than Netflix or the 24-hour news cycle. Don't want to think about the world collapsing in on itself or escape in someone else's story. Females are slick brown, more churlish than the males, who don their snowy red plumage like a rite. They fill up like a last meal, like seed won't magically appear again tomorrow. I wish I were a bird, living minute by minute, with no regard for time. End poem. Lovely.
Mm. Wow.
Your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah. This one was this one brings back a specific memory of mine. I'm not gonna say what it is. It's just between my grandmother and I watching birds. But this kind of brings back that. The speaker is very observant, and just watching nature from the perspective of kind of like their own eyes, and I really like this this sort of interactions that the birds and are in the different birds have, and I really like the different species, like the finches, and there's a very sort of like it's very peaceful, despite the fact that it makes it clear that the world is kind of at a precarious place, and despite this, that there's focus elsewhere on other things, on nature, and not on disaster or Netflix. And I like that especially. I really like that. That's quite a nice frame of mind to be in. I think quite a great way to sort of take one's attention away from all that nastiness of the world sometimes, and this is a great way to kind of escape that, I think, for the time being. And I really enjoyed that. I really enjoy that. It's almost idyllic in a way. And wistful too. The last stanza, wishing that, connecting to the bird so much that they wish they were a bird. And that would offer a measure of freedom that I don't think humans understand.
Mm. Yep, absolutely. It's funny, Zach, because I've known Wednesday for some time, and her rights are very nature based. They are, and they're very soothing. But she did something this time that I found very fun in this. My favorite stanza of this was the second one: a brown cage suet and a tree green mixed seed feeder, squirrel proof, in parentheses. So they say. That in and of itself is a joy to watch. If you've ever watched squirrels, we've done everything in the world with our feeders, trying to keep the squirrels out of them, and it's impossible. A squirrel is an acrobat. They're smarter than you think. Well, maybe not smarter, but crafty. Because, side note, we used to live on a road that we thought all the squirrels must have been inbred or something because they would run out in front of your car to die. I mean, it was like they would wait for you to come by and they would magically appear. But squirrels are fun. And this rite was fun, too, because it felt daydreamy. Like the writer was honestly looking out her picture window and seen this scene and just said, I wish I was out there as those birds just eating my seed and going about life. And sure, that's what you see, but I'm sure it's a little tougher than that. But in that moment, there was such beauty and such tranquility that she captured here in this piece with a very nice flow and all that stuff. And the tongue-in-cheek stuff, they fill up like a last meal, like seed won't, in quotations, magically appear again tomorrow. She's filling those feeders, obviously, to bring the birds back, but the birds don't know it. They're just like, heck yeah, there's seed here, and we'll worry about tomorrow. But it was so much fun to read, and it had a really nice flow to it, a softness that I really enjoyed. All right, Zach.
Oh, man. Next up, we have Purple Gerber's piece, and this one's Mad Scientists, and I'll give that a read. How can you be sad? Didn't you study psychology? Can't you through your own notes? Shouldn't staying happy be easy? How can a depressed give someone else therapy? How difficult can it be to make others happy? And so the mad scientists actually go mad. You studied psychology. How can you be so sad? But guess what? We can be. Yes, despite wasting away years studying the human psyche, if a doctor can fall sick and treat while they heal, we too are subjected to risks. We recognize what you feel. And yes, we are the mad scientists who studied psychology because we know mental health matters. And people ignore it mostly. You want to cure every symptom and complain about suicides, but don't want to understand or hear their side. Someone has to do that. This is where we thrive, because our pep talks can save many lives. So yes, we can be sad. We know what we feel, that we want to push forward so that we make sure you heal. We studied psychology, not to read damn minds, but to make the world a better place. So please, for once, be kind. We're trying our best in a world where empathy is difficult to find. We're not immune. We're not even divine. Sometimes we do stumble. We can't always be fine. But that doesn't mean that we don't care. We will stand by you to help you through your despair. So yes, we can be sad. It's not hard to be. Yet we listen and don't judge. I can tell it's not easy. We feel too much. We are humans too. But that's our motto, to help what you go through. So despite your ignorance and dismissive remarks you say, us mad scientists go on and do so every single day. And
There's an interesting kind of juxtaposition here with the mention of psychology and things like that. I'm going to guess that the writer is some sort of counselor at the very least, if not a psychiatrist or psychologist or something like that. And they're in the profession of healing people. I can't imagine myself how tiring that is to be continuously dealing with other people's problems, because then you have your own. It's like, I mean, you think about it this way. It's something I've always known. Mechanics drive the worst vehicles because the last thing they want to do is work on their own vehicle when they've worked on vehicles all day, every day. It's funny like that, but it is. That's how it works. And I can see like there's a frustration to this piece with, maybe being so overwhelmed with patients, with other people's issues, that they're not really able to focus on their own as much as they'd like to. But then when it gets to the point where it's a problem, the frustration is, we are not perfect. They're not judges. They're not juries. They're just people that have some knowledge and some training above and beyond of how the human mind works. It doesn't mean that they don't have their own set of problems. It really doesn't. And this is really neat because it mentions so many parts of mental health that maybe go unnoticed or unthought about from the people that go in as patients, because you don't realize if you're one patient and you go and see a psychiatrist, that psychiatrist may see, or therapist may see, a dozen patients that day or 15, and each has a different story. But when you go in there, it's your universe. You're there and you're the center of it. So your problem is their problem then. But then they have 14 more the rest of the day that they have to hear. That to me would be very exhausting when it comes to dealing with your own problems. You may want to brush them under the rug and ignore them until they become a big problem. So that's kind of what it comes to. But there's a whole, and I won't get into the author's notes on this one, Zach, because it's as long as the piece was explaining stuff. But I think I'm going to read it after the show's over, and I encourage you all to do that because it wouldn't hurt one bit to understand where this comes from exactly. But I really dig it. I really do. It's saying, I'm frustrated. I've got my own bag too. I'm frustrated, and people don't think that they have their own bag. Like their world should be perfect in the world of mental health because they're a mental health professional. What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
Oh piece? Yeah. This piece was a very
great read for you, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. It was very real. It was really a real piece. And I know that's a kind of a generalization, but I feel like I live part of this in a way as a patient. And I feel like that sort of that frustration from the perspective of the other side, the psychiatrist, and you just want to like be there for them in a way, because they're humans too. It takes a special kind of human to kind of be in this field. I think a special kind of willingness to do kindness and to heal a certain kind of in a certain kind of way and not hurt, and that kind of takes a certain kind of interaction that it's not like PCP doctors or primary care physicians. It goes deeper than that, and like we're there to kind of or I'm there to kind of at least connect. And some people, I guess there's a frustration here. And some people would rather not empathize or would rather choose to disparage doctors and call them mad scientists. And this is like understandably sort of there's hurt there, I think, because they don't want to be disparaged like anyone else, and that's not their objective to hurt, is to heal. And that's what I got from this mainly. And this was a very real piece, as I said, and I like that a lot. I could relate.
It's one of those I'm going to read again tonight. And I'll go through the author's notes too and make sure I'm totally clear on it because it's a great piece. So what we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up is your piece, Unexpected Bill, and that's Bleeding Silently.
Ooh, fantastic. Feeling a Tonto drive into his guts. Slowly, he exhales his fading life. Fallen to his knees, yielding victory. Vanquished in battle, dying honorably. He's bleeding out, yet still stays silent. This, his final act. the death of a samurai. Eternity will begin in my deadly shadow, a warrior's end. We ask for nothing more. I bear witness with envy and compassion. Breathing fades as blood flow diminishes. Final breath coming. Death rattle begins. He's bleeding out, a pool of crimson death. Collapsing face first, planted like an oak. His life is over. He will battle no longer. I reflect like his face in the bloody mirror. The mighty oak stands in a forest of carnage, bleeding silently. Will I face death with his honor and grace? It will come for me. It's the warrior's way. Like an oak in the carnage, I bleed silently. In poem.
Wow.
Zach, you with me?
Yeah, I remember this one. I remember how it was especially it was intense, but there was a calmness about it that was fascinating to me. Despite all these despite the fact that the warrior is at his end, you know, and he's surrounded by all this death, there's this eerie sort of calm to it, as he ends his own life in the it's the samurai fashion of seppuku or harakiri, and that's its own victory for the samurai. And I really, there's compassion there for the samurai, I think, this warrior, and from the speaker perspective, I think it's not the samurai. I don't think that the speaker is the samurai himself, but rather maybe the person who's about to who's witnessing the death of the samurai, who grants the samurai an honorable end after not displaying any pain, and then he grants him a painless death. It's just, there's a certain mortality to it, of course, and that makes it powerful. It really does. I really enjoyed this, hearing this from you.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. Now, I'm going to tell you, okay, and your interpretation works, so I'm going to tell you where I wrote it from, okay? The first line, feeling a Tonto drive into his guts, you know as well as me that is seppuku. It could very well be. It's the honorable death, right? But I wrote this from the perspective of two samurai meeting in battle. And the one that won is watching the other die. And because he respected him as a warrior, he watched him die with empathy and kindness and almost wishes that was him because the death was so honorable. He doesn't want to die. He just won the battle. But he sees that death, and there's a beauty to it in samurai culture. They respect death as much as they respected life. And it's such a great notion. But really, it came from the thought process in my mind, Zach. Could I do that? Could I be that graceful watching somebody die or dying that gracefully? Doubt it. It's an amazing thing, an amazing concept that was trained and bred into them, where their culture really was that way. And then, you get into that weird era after gunpowder was invited in and it kind of went away, and World War II, it got perverted even more. But I'm talking about real samurai culture from back in the 1600s, where things were different. They had a view of life and death, and I was trying to capture that. And also, anything I do Japanese, I almost always stick in a haiku as like a personal thought. And that's what this did too. The second to the last stanza is a haiku. And it's a haiku from the victor to the vanquished. He's envying him because he's dying an honorable death. And that is the most important thing to a samurai, is when you die, it has to be honorable. So I love your interpretation of it too, Zach. And when I started it with feeling a Tonto drive into his guts, that's what happens whenever the beheading, it's Tano to the guts and beheading. So it's at the same time. So your interpretation is not wrong, but where I wrote it from was definitely on a battlefield.
Right.
Okay.
I understand like the converse, like because of like I got like a new perspective of it. What you were saying earlier, I feel like it's like a conversation between the two samurai, a very spiritual conversation almost.
Without a word being
without a
said.
word. That's right. Exactly.
Yep, exactly, Zach. Thank you, though. I appreciate your comment. But that was for a long time. That's been one of my favorites.
That one, mine too. Next up we have Fran Marie's piece, and that's Winds of November, and I'm gonna give that one a read. Dancing winds of November disrobes the trees of autumn, leaves limb, bare bough surrender, succumb to nature's bottom. Weeping rains sweep demanding November's heavy downpours. Fall reigns, its fate commanding, appearing dead yet endures. A sleeping moon regresses, undying in cold darknesses. November's sky depresses, rendering life to darkness. Winking stars spread, diffusing, growing dim, then fade away. Denied starlight, confusing, 'tis what November displays. A smiling sun disappears to a distant dark expanse. Gray sky sighs and reappears as November's winds still dance. End poem.
Well, that was pretty. Good read, Zach, too. That's probably been the best read of the day, and it's a beautiful piece, too. I love the description, right from the opening line. Dancing winds of November disrobes the trees of autumn. And that's what's happening. I mean, we look around. I'm Midwest. I'm assuming this poem, I don't know where Fran lives exactly, but this poem reeks of Midwest to me. Because we're in that season where things have changed. Like I told you at the beginning of the show, we got snow on the ground. It's not accumulating, but we've got our first snow today, and it's cold and it's dark. My daughter actually commented on that when I went and picked her up, and I was on my way back from her friend's house. She goes, "Daddy, it's really dark outside." And that's what happens. That's what happens this time of year. I mean, it just gets dark, especially if you get outside of town away from lights in the night. But the beauty is the stars, when they do come out, boy, they're awesome. They really are. But there's I don't know what it is. It like late fall soothes me. I don't care for winter. Like January and February, I'm over it. But late fall is very soothing to me because you're watching the leaves of the trees are hitting the ground, and everything's stripped down and bare and all that. And it is, for the metaphor is the end of the good times. The harvest has come, so everything, all the plants are now going into hibernation here in the Midwest, which is really what they do. They strip down, go into hibernation. That stuff hits the soil, is broken down over the winter, spring, and then turns into food for new plants next year. Mm-hmm. So it's the whole cycle, and this is only part of it. But she speaks of the winds of November is the title, but it isn't just about the wind. It's about the entire atmosphere of this time of the year, which I find beautiful. It's one of my favorite times of the year. Spring's my favorite, but late fall is also up there, because who doesn't like a bonfire this time of year? Mm. What are your thoughts, Zach?
This is this sort of I guess late fall, early winter is probably my favorite kind of year. This kind of coldness. I really enjoy this. I really like the personification of the piece, especially the dancing leaves from the and winds, the weeping rains, the fall raining upon the land, the sky depresses. There's a lot of feelings ascribed to weather, and I really, that's cool if you could pull that off and kind of make that a part of like a landscape somehow. And this is what that is. It's more than that though. It's like a transformation going on. I think that is the rain sort of, as nature sort of absorbs the rain, things change in the scenery. And it's one of those all day kind of November rains, but by the end of it, though, at least the stars are out, and I really like that too. As the smiling sun disappears, and there's some more personification. Yeah, I think that is there's a lot of like really cool things that I want to maybe come back to and read myself when I have an opportunity. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was a great write.
And I guess next up is Shyamalan's piece, and that's The Mystery Cake of Fairy Woodland, and that's your read.
Looks like we're getting a little lighter all of a sudden. Beneath the oak where the mice play, a birthday feast was well underway. The bear with the chickadee hat grinned wide. "It's my special day," he proudly cried. The squirrel squeaked, "It's nutty, I bet." The rabbit sniffed, "Carrots, my best guess yet." The fox looked smug with the owl on his back, while whispering, "Shh, who baked this tasty snack?" The fawn said softly, "It smells like wheat." The skunk sniffed sharply, "Too sugary sweet." The ferret fussed, "It's honey and spice." The hedgehog huffed, "Oh heavens, that's nice." The raccoon licked icing. "This tastes like a heist. Too delicious to care. Just save me a slice." The owl blinked twice. "Indeed, I declare, the basket's missing somewhere out there." But Bear just chuckled. "Oh, let it be. The cake found us quite magically. Now sing me a song, and the candle I'll blow before the park ranger comes to know." End poem. That was fun. That was fun. All right, Zach, go ahead.
This like reminds me of this definitely reminds me of some like kind of like Winnie the Pooh bits I used to watch as a kid. And I really like also Winnie the Pooh and like various other woodland creatures, in different shows. That this reminds me of that, and it's a very pleasant piece, and it's humorous too. And I like how each sort of character has its own fixation of what the cake may or may not be based on their own food preferences or personality, and I really like that. And I especially like the alliteration. It gives like a kind of before each of the quotations is mentioned, it's like the squirrel squeaked, the hedgehog huffed, and I really like. It just reminds me of like the Three Little Pigs in a way, and that brings me back. And yeah, and it's quite whimsical, is the word. Yeah, and overall, I really enjoyed it.
It's funny. You said the last word you said was whimsical, and it's what Shyamala used to describe it in her author's notes. so she got it through. Congratulations to both of you as the reader, Zach, and her as the writer. You guys connected on the whimsical part. But I loved what you pointed out there with the alliteration. That was just enough alliteration to make this even more fun, because that's really what alliteration does. It's at least to me, that's what it does. Alliteration and hard rhymes together make it almost limerick fun. It just, as I'm reading it, that's the way it comes off. I hit this rhythm, and then the alliteration comes in, and it's like snare drums, a good fill or something like that is what it is. And it works beautifully here. I love too, Zach, that you pointed out everything I wanted to comment on, you pointed out too. So kudos to the writer, Shyamala, for getting that out to us, because we all understand it the same way. The personification, the personal, every one of the animals that's in the picture, their personality is represented in what they think that cake is. And that's so sweet. It really is. I mean, it's this is on par with like anything you would read a short story like Berenstain Bears or Winnie the Pooh, any of those things like that. It's very well done. It is. And obviously meant for children, but you know what? I'm an adult and I can enjoy it too. What we got next, Zach?
Next up, we have Farron Khan-8's piece, and that's When the Moon Forgot to Rise, and I'll give that a read. When the moon forgot to rise, the mist appeared, dwelling inside the clouds, making the darker nights even thicker, more mysterious. Even the moon now sleeps, or perhaps it has truly forgotten to rise. Yet I see a piece of it by the window seat, watching the woods with a quiet, secret gaze. Those eyes roam the forest, yet never linger on me. The heart still beats there, but her arms are not near mine. Her peace drifts with the wind, yet not with the breath I send. Her nest is bound there, and perhaps I will not share it. How long she stays so far? How long shall the longing stay? Neither the wind nor the sleeping moon knows. End poem.
That's pretty heavy. When the Moon Forgot to Rise. I like the title for one, and open it up with the first line being the title. When the moon forgot to rise, the mist appeared. That to me opened this up with a sadness, because when the moon forgot to rise, the mist appeared. Personification, I immediately go to, okay, someone's upset, crying, dwelling inside the clouds, making the darker nights even thicker, more mysterious. Well done. That opening stanza sure set a tone. I really liked it. But to make it out like the moon's just asleep, it's just sleeping in. So it's not neglect. It's not a negative thing. Like the moon just took a day off is what I gathered from it. Her peace drifts with the wind, yet not with the breath I send. Her nest is bound there, and perhaps I will not share it. Talking about something he knows that somebody else doesn't. It's interesting to see this, but he's looking, the author's looking for the moon, and it's not there. And he's wondering, what's going on? What's happening? But he's not distraught. It doesn't seem distraught. It just seems like, oh, well, it's taking a night off. Just forgot to get up. Stayed in bed. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, this one, there was a heaviness to this one, I felt. And it was an interesting introspection, too. When the moon forgot to rise, like all this, like Bill said, it did open up. Like for sure. It just became like that, like it just triggered this this sort of longing within the speaker. I don't know.
It wasn't sad to me, Zach.
No,
it wasn't sad, but there was something heavy to it. You're right.
There was, yeah. I don't know what entirely the speaker was longing for necessarily. I don't know if it was a pining for someone else or to know something, but like either way, I think the speaker is going to just let it transpire and see what happens. And I don't think that the speaker is particularly like stressing out about it. It's just like, we'll see what happens. And you know, sometimes it's sometimes things are obscured and things will be made clearer eventually. I think that's what the idea was. But I think also if the speaker doesn't know what's going on, I don't think that would really deter the speaker that much. Also, it's not indifference. That's not what I want to say. It's just sort of longing to see what happens next. I think without that much of with care, but not with too much.
Yeah, at first I think it was sad, Zach. It started out that way, where it was like, why isn't the moon rising? And it was upsetting, and then it led to that introspection that came along, and you and I both felt it. We couldn't put our finger on it. It's not despair. It's not sadness, because I didn't feel a bit sad reading this, but I did feel something. I felt a depth and a looking in. Like, how would you feel if the moon didn't come out? If something that happens every day of our lives doesn't happen, how would you feel? And maybe that's what this is about. The moon is the metaphor for something that's missing in a life. It's open. It's so open to interpretation. And I love it for that reason. I love your comment is great too, Zach. You and me are both scratching our heads a little on it. And it isn't because we couldn't figure it out. It was because we couldn't figure out me anyway. I couldn't figure out the exact feelings I felt. Like, was I sad? Was I supposed to be sad? Was I supposed to be hopeful? And because I felt it all, honestly, in bits and pieces.
Me too.
So, yeah, that to me is some of the best poetry for me to read, because it engages me to think after I've read it. What do we got now, Zach?
Next up, we have Dark Night of the Soul's piece, After 7 p.m. That's your read.
I scrolled away, so I have to get back to it. Haven't heard from Doug in a week or two, so good to see him on here. And just before I start reading, Zach, I know you and I agree every week on this, but man, this group just brings us poetry that hits us from all directions.
They're bringing it this week for sure.
They sure are. Started from the beginning, too. I love it when they start hot and never slow down. This one's titled After 7 p.m. I think you did read the title, but I started talking, so here we go. After 7 p.m. Evening comes, and the light through the branches dies a slow, beautiful, colorful death. We often don't notice, semi-immune to our bounty, the flickering of TV, often giving off a more attention-getting spectacle. When the clock strikes 7, we're firmly seated on couches, comfortable, lumps. It takes special events, a dinner party, a play, to get us out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we turn down the set and laugh about younger days when going out, in quotation marks, started at 11 and energy stayed to 2 or 3, and we had enough left over to get to work at 7 a.m. We laugh with a bravado earned from wrinkles, but somewhere within the 24-year-old inside us, tucked away, dies in small slivers. In our sadness, we don't speak of this as we turn up the volume on Judge Judy. End poem. Oh my God, Doug, that made me so happy to read. I am so old too, buddy. Zach, your thoughts?
This was interesting. I like this a lot. This was another nocturnal piece, but this nocturnal piece brought on different sort of thoughts. This was concerned with rather than sitting down, this was harkening back to a time when things happened rather than like people sitting down and gathering in front of the TV. This is like when people were getting out of the house more. This is like there's the vibrance to that setting, a vibrance to those memories, and in those sort of younger days when there's like I don't know, like you sort of like as you I guess as age happens, maybe not always, but maybe things take over. Certain things take over. Well, what you do ends up changing, maybe, and that I guess that's not a bad thing. That's just what happens. It just happens like when you're. It's not like you'd rather be doing something else. It's just what happens, I guess. And there's a certain nostalgia there for those times, for those younger days when, I guess, going to plays and outside the comfort zone was a lot more easier. And it seems like with the advent of technology, that a lot of that fun is kind of dying in a way. I think that's what Doug was getting at there, especially with those last two lines.
Zach, I know you're younger than me.
I struggle with that one.
I completely relate to this one 100%. Me and the wife, we sit in our seat of love and we watch TV and things like that. And we don't long for those exciting nights where we were young and the party started at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock and you went on and you had a good time and you woke up and you went to work the next day. The thought of staying out till 3 a.m. and getting up, going to work at 7 a.m. mortifies me. It makes me so sad, just as much as a nap in the middle of the afternoon for 30 minutes makes me very, very happy. And both those things you age into so naturally. And that's what Doug captured very well here. I really, really appreciated this Dark Knight. It was a great write and a great read for me, because it's not even tongue in cheek. It's just the absolute truth. He's not kidding. Like, he's very happy to sit down in his place of calmness and watch Judge Judy at 7 o'clock. And it's a thing, I'm sure his partner, wife or whatever is with him, doing that. And it's an event. It's much the same, not as near as exciting as going out when you're in your 20s, but it's the same kind of feeling where you're content, you're happy. It's just you don't need that excitement anymore. I had a conversation along this line the other day with somebody had asked me about what would happen, if something big and scary was chasing me. I can't remember what it was, a werewolf, or it was something absurd. And I said, well, I'm not running. And they're like, you wouldn't run? I was like, what's the point? Eventually you age out of it, where fight or flight, if you fly first and you don't get away, which I'm not as fast as I used to be. So I know I'm not getting away. I'm just going to burn a bunch of energy. Might as well put that towards the fighting right from the word go. And you only age into that stuff. So that's the funny thing, Zach. We have energy and stuff like that when we're in our 20s, and it wanes and it fades and all that stuff. And you just become content to be who you are. It isn't that you're sitting on a chair not doing anything ever. You do things. You just don't need that excitement of the night out. What are your thoughts on that?
That's true. First? I did. Yeah. I think so. I guess my earlier thought about maybe the sitting still wasn't so like I don't know.
No, it's valid, completely valid. What you were saying was completely valid, but you're just getting to the point where you're aging into it, where a good nap is better than a good time.
Oh, it's true. I'm getting yes.
Yeah, you're getting there, Zach. You're getting there. What else we got?
All right. Next up, we have Equinan's piece, and that's How Come Poems and Songs Just Pop Into My Head. That's my read. How come most of the time poems, short stories, and songs just pop in my head? Then I have to record them. I rarely have to alter them, and if I do, it makes them worse and my head goes dead. However, sometimes if I have to do all the hard work, it feels funny. When this happens, I think I just can't write, and I feel as if I don't belong here. And I can't get always anything right, no matter how hard I try. End poem.
That's an interesting one. I I think when I first listened, when I first heard this, and I did read along too, but I can relate to this, believe it or not, because in the beginning, whenever I started writing, it was like every day I could write something. Now, I'm going to tell you what I was writing then wasn't anything special as far as compared to the techniques I've developed over the 3.5, 4 years that I've been writing very consistently. I've learned how to use tools and things like that. But with the title that Anne wrote here, How Come Poems and Songs Just Pop in My Head? That's what happened to me. I would be actually, the ideas were so fast and furious that they were almost written before I ever got to a point where I could sit down and write them. And then it was just translating it to whatever I was using, as my phone most generally. But the flip side of that is when it doesn't happen that quick. That is a form of writer's block that you get. And it's very frustrating. Anybody that's a writer has been frustrated by writer's block at some point in time. And that feels like this is what Anne is saying. Those periods of when it doesn't just come naturally and easily and stuff like that are very frustrating. And they are. And you wonder why it can happen one day, but then it can't happen the next. And it will spawn rights like this. This is writing about not being able to write, or the curiosity of your own process at the very least, which is kind of neat. And it's very introspective, and it's very well done. And it's a great question to ask, Anne. Really, really enjoyed the piece because it is honest. It is just a honest declaration of, why do they just pop into my head? And then some days they don't. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this too. This was I think special kind of creative output. There's just an intent within the speaker to just use everything at their disposal to kind of like create. And there's maybe it's too many. Maybe there's enough ideas in there that there's. There needs to be some selective creativity. Like you need to actually maybe there's so many ideas that they can't all escape, and that some of them end up trapped even because there's so many of them. That's kind of cool, but also a little bit overwhelming at the same time. But I think the speaker still likes that, and I do too. I think I like that feeling of having a lot of ideas. And conversely, that stands as juxtaposed with the frustration of the writer's block, which I feel too sometimes. And it's just like it's such an acute frustration. I think that's part of the cycle, honestly, of a writer is this sort of, unfortunately, that frustration of writer's block. But I think. With enough reading and doing life or I guess advancing within life and doing that sort of thing, doing more things, that I think that brings more things to write about, really. That's I know that's not the cure all to writer's block. Some people deal with it differently, and I just kind of like that disparity between the two stanzas, especially the first one. That's kind of how I deal with it too. I kind of like a little bit selective sometimes in case the ideas like to pile up. But I kind of I saw myself in that a little bit. Thanks for writing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. We've done a whole lot of things here today, Zach. We've read lots of different directions and come over lots of things. I wanted to talk for a minute too, guys. We'll take a minute here towards the end of the show to go over again. Anybody that wants to join us here, I implore you, don't be afraid, man. Come join us. I'm going to be honest with you. This probably was not my best night of reading, but I still loved it. It wasn't me at the top of my game reading poetry, but I still loved it because it changes my day. It changes my mood. It makes me think about those things that I want to think about. Zach, same way for you. You were looking forward to it all day too, weren't you? I was looking forward to it since yesterday, actually. Since yesterday. That's when I schedule it. Usually, then I start looking forward to it. But we really want you guys to join us here. We do. We love reading the poems. We will do it anytime, just the two of us. But we want you guys to feel comfortable in this setting. This is just me and Zach reading poetry and discussing it together. And you guys are listening in, whoever's out there live is listening in. And then obviously with the recordings and stuff, you can listen in there too. But it is really, really a great thing to do. I just read, Teresa, I just read your message. Tressa, I'm sorry. I am off for sure next Sunday. I made sure of that. Hear that?
Ooh, that's gonna be, yeah, that'll be a good day. Yeah,
Tressa, that is very well timed because as we mentioned at the top of the show, if you didn't catch it, we're going to do some of Yumpy's Poe contest rights. All the Parchies that submitted for that are going to be hopefully okay with us reading their Poe-inspired poems. So it's going to be a little darker portion of the show. Oh, yes is right, Tressa. Mm-hmm. Zach and I both agree. We're really excited about that next week, too. So we're going to do some Poe stuff. And remember, guys, we also have Poet of the Month, okay? So if you have something, submit it. The parameters, make sure there's only 2. It has to be submitted by the 21st of November. Okay, guys? So just be sure of that. Submit them because there's plenty to do and all that. We want you guys to take advantage of everything that we're all doing. Again, I'm going to mention Deb is our group greeter. Obviously, Zach and I are the coordinators that do this, the podcast. Yumpy runs contest, and Merv is also running some stuff with the music side of it, Suno and stuff like that. He is super jacked. If you're interested in that, get a hold of Merv. There's topic boards, guys. Explore those topic boards. They're at the top of the group website. Just click on them and read through them and get yourself familiar with them because it will help you utilize all the things that are out there within our group. What do you think, Zach? You want to talk to them? You want to tell them about how much fun this is too, Zach? I think they believe us. We say it all the time.
It's just a great joy for me personally to read other things.
I did that on purpose, Zach. I knew you'd laugh.
Got me that time. Good, man. And it really is a great joy to read others' work and, represent their poetry. It is, isn't it, Phil?
It sure is, man. And the fact that you laugh every time I cue up the exit music kills me. It does. It's a great way to end the show, guys. Tressa, we'll see you next week. I'll get a hold of you. We'll get a hold of you, Tressa, and we'll make sure that we have it on the schedule to where we can get it done in a decent way, and everything will be wonderful. We're looking forward to you joining us.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be a great time, won't it, Zach? All right, man. Thank you, Zach. As always, thank you for being here and doing this with me every week.
You know it, man.
Yeah, have a good rest of your night. I'm getting ready to go to work. All right. Enjoy, guys.